I told you before, and I'm still keeping saying that this is how I am, and I'm never going to change my mind about that, Nicole.
I'm never going to change my mind about it
No,
either.
so why you promised me before?
Before we were married? Because I didn't know.
Nicole and Mahmoud can't seem to compromise over the hijab. Mahmoud expects his wife to eventually do as he says and cover her hair. But Nicole refuses. So, where do they go from here?
I'm either going to go or I'm going to stay. But
I
like,
said I
I'm not
don't
going
want
to
you
stay
go.
under these conditions. I'm not going to stay with a
You are really...
Right now, Nicole and Mahmoud's marriage seems to be hanging on by a thread. The truth is, they're fighting over issues that don't seem to have any easy fixes, and that doesn't bode too well for the future. But before we get into the screaming match, let's rewind back to the start of this episode. And from the very beginning, the clues are there that Nicole is having a really tough time adjusting to life in Egypt.
This phrase, okay, and like that. See, my love, it's so easy. Try.
I've been in Egypt for a few days, and things have really been a struggle so far.
But it's not just the small things like lighting a stove that are the problem. Nicole has no friends in Egypt. She's been discouraged from making friends outside the family. So every day when Mahmoud goes off to work, Nicole is sat at home, bored out of her mind.
There's just like nothing for me to do. Nothing, like just nothing.
But all this sitting around has given rise to a new opportunity. You see, what with Mahmoud working at a fabric store and Nicole's background in fashion, not to mention the fact that Mahmoud's uncle owns a clothing factory, Nicole now has everything she could need to start her own creative enterprise.
Today, me and Nicole going to my uncle's house. He have his own factory for clothing, so we are go for some advice about to start our own business making clothes.
On the face of it, that sounds like a good idea. Nicole has a real passion for clothing, and maybe being involved in a creative endeavour like this, as a husband and wife team, might strengthen their relationship. At the very least, if they're working together to design and produce modest clothing, well, they're going to have to address the issue that causes most of their arguments.
I was saying it will be very good idea because, you know, most of problem or fight between you and me is clothes. And I think this can help us so much.
Apparently, Nicole has had a lot of issues shopping for dresses. She just can't find a happy balance between fashionable yet modest. And she hopes that her company, her designs, will fill that gap in the market. And while in theory this sounds like an amazing idea, I do wonder just how well Nicole's fashion sense will translate to an Egyptian market. It might be, how shall I put this? It might be a little too unique, perhaps?
You always like have a problem to find some clothes.
Well, when women try to go and shop for things that are like actually stylish and modest, it's really difficult.
But aside from clothes, Nicole is also sitting on something way bigger that she also needs to talk to Mahmoud about. And this is something he's not going to like at all.
I converted to Islam before Mahmoud and I got married. But in LA, I was experiencing doubts and wondering if it's right for me. And I need to have that conversation with Mahmoud.
Yeah, who didn't see that coming? I mean, Nicole converted to Islam in secret, without telling any friends or family, without clearly understanding the religion properly, within 2 weeks of first meeting Mahmoud. But, shock horror, now she regrets her decision. In hindsight, Nicole claims that she didn't really know what she was signing up for, but it's hard to sympathise with her because, well, Google exists. So now Nicole is in a tough spot. At some point, she's going to need to tell her husband she's questioning her religion. But for right now, she chooses just to not go along with everything.
But maybe you were saying to cover your hair today?
I'm not covering my hair ever.
Okay, sweetie. I gave your time about that.
And just like that, the illusion that these two might be able to work out their differences is shattered. Nicole is digging her heels in about her decision never to wear a hijab again. But Mahmoud doesn't take her seriously. He still thinks that she'll eventually cave in and wear one. This feels like a very unhealthy mindset from him. Like, sure, we know that he grew up in a conservative household and the females in his family do wear a hijab. But at the same time, not every female in Egypt wears a hijab. In fact, his wife hasn't been wearing one for all this time. And from what we've seen, no one seems to have had a real problem with it. up until now. So if Nicole truly doesn't want to wear one, why is he so adamant that she must?
I wore hijab for maybe a year. I felt like I betrayed myself, and there's honestly no worse feeling than that.
Look, people are allowed to make mistakes, and it's obvious that Nicole's year wearing a hijab felt like a big mistake for her. But I don't think the issue is just the hijab. In fact, the hijab seems to almost symbolise her relationship with Islam. She tried it out, she didn't like it, and now she regrets committing to it. What's unfortunate though is she made a huge decision to marry Mahmoud while she was still in her religious experimental phase. Now that Nicole knows what she wants, well, that no longer aligns with Mahmoud's desires.
It's really uncomfortable for me.
Okay, my love. You can say, but you will do.
That's not true.
It is true, honey.
No.
You promised me before, so.
Mahmoud's tone is quite annoying, isn't it? He chuckles during serious arguments, and his insistence that Nicole pretty much doesn't have a choice in the matter would drive anyone crazy. But he brings up a good point. The promises that were made during their whirlwind romance are now coming back to haunt them. As annoying and controlling as Mahmoud is being here, he is just waiting for Nicole to do the things that she promised him when they got married. It's Nicole who's totally flipped the script and expects her husband to just be okay with it. But why shouldn't he be okay with it? He is also part of the problem here. He decided to marry someone outside his culture. He should have known what that would mean too. Like, it's all well and good me giving Nicole a hard time for not knowing what she was getting into, but clearly Mahmoud didn't know what he was getting into either. Ultimately, it's a problem of both of their makings.
You have also went back on your promises. You decided, at least when I'm in America, that I could wear
I
a
said like
short
that.
sleeve.
Nicole then accuses Mahmoud of breaking his own promises. She says he agreed that she was allowed to show more skin whilst in America. She also claims that he knew she was wearing t-shirts in the summer. She'd even worn them in front of him on their video calls. But this claim hits a nerve with Mahmoud. And this is the beginning of the end. He denies it all, and he gets angrier than we've seen him before.
You never did. So now
Yeah.
it's come up, so this bad way.
Right, so Mahmoud storms out over the logistics of how short Nicole's sleeves were. It seems a bit dramatic, wouldn't you say? We're getting to see a different side to Mahmoud in this episode. But what really triggered that kind of response? Is he embarrassed by Nicole's claims? Does he feel like he's being made to look like a bad Muslim? His opinion is kind of lost in translation here, but it sounds like he's almost upset about the way she brought it up on TV for all to see.
Short sleeves, yes. This,
No,
yes.
No,
yes.
no, and you never
Yes.
talk about that. No,
Yes, yes,
no,
yes, always.
No, no.
Yeah, you
Not
did,
this true. No,
Yes.
What an adult argument they're having here. Please tell me they don't argue like this about everything. It's giving me real little kids arguing over a toy kind of vibes. Real mature, guys, well done. But let's really analyse what's going on here. Nicole says she used to wear short sleeves on her calls with Mahmoud. He denies this. So what would Nicole get out of lying about that? I don't really see it. Like, maybe she's using it as a way of proving his rules have toughened up and got stricter since they first got together. The only thing I can think that Mahmoud would get out of lying about it is maybe he's associating some shame to the way Nicole dressed and he wants to maintain his dignity.
I told you before, and I'm still keeping saying that this is how I am, and I'm never going to change my mind about that.
I'm never going to change my mind about it
No,
either.
so why you promised me before?
Before we were married, because I didn't know.
Either way, let's be honest, that previous argument seems to be about nothing, and they both know it. This is what it's really about. Nicole is refusing to bend to Mahmoud's culture, and Mahmoud is refusing to bend to Nicole's. They're dealing with issues that seem totally unresolvable unless one of them is willing to compromise. But guess what? Neither of them is.
I think we not can be together. So
And there it is. Mahmoud is finally acknowledging that some fights just can't be won with persistence. And ironically, isn't that exactly why Nicole's here? To try and figure out if they can make it work? It might be too early to tell, but I don't really see how the pair of them can come back from what's being said right now.
Don't have me come here and like work really hard and then just be like, I don't want to be with you because you can't.
I don't want to talk anymore, I'm serious. Me and Nicole start like bad fight. I choose to go somewhere, be away, try to calm down, and after that we're fine.
This is Mahmoud's second walkout of the day. It's funny because Nicole always gave the impression of being the flaky one. She was the one that seemed to bail when times get tough. But Mahmoud's behaviour is making me change my mind. He's got quite the habit of stopping arguments in their tracks and either derailing them or just completely walking out altogether.
Too much. I'm like, I can't make her happy. And this is like the most problem with me right now. Because sometimes I feel like I'm not the right person.
Mahmoud is saying this to the camera, but why can't he stay in the room and express these things to his wife? Because this is obviously something she has a big problem with.
I hate it when he does this. Just not talk about the things that make us fight. He doesn't know how to handle it because he's so full of emotion. And he just like takes all the power and leaves. I feel like Mahmoud doesn't want me. He wants some ideal version of a wife. And he wants me to go, and so that's what I'm gonna do.
Mahmoud walked out of the argument. So now Nicole, not to be outdone, is going to walk out of his life. Just like we suspected, she's now finally bailing. And it would be easy to say that she's leaving when times get tough. But I think it's safe to say that their relationship is beyond tough. Right now, it feels impossible. And maybe she's just making the right decision for both of them. Especially when Mahmoud comes back later and asks her if she's ready to go to his uncle's house. Like, it's as if they haven't been fighting. It's as if he can't see that she's packing her bags and leaving him forever. And this sends Nicole over the edge.
So are you ready to go to my uncle's?
Like, what's the point? What's the point now? Packing my to leave because you told me that's what you want.
Now, not to be pedantic, but that's not exactly what Mahmoud said. He didn't tell Nicole to leave. What he actually said was, I think we can't be together.
I think we not can be together. So.
But either way, ding ding ding, round 3. The pair have started arguing for a third time. And this one, with Nicole feeling like her husband doesn't want her there anymore, starts to get very serious.
I came here to be with you. And then now you say you don't want me anymore because I won't wear the clothes you want. What the Mahmoud? I came all this way. You think I don't want you?
And that is true. Nicole has given up a lot. She's sacrificed lots to be here with Mahmoud. Yet deep down, Mahmoud still has some doubts. He's still not sure whether or not his wife loves him.
I don't feel you love me anymore.
Now I know for sure, like, that there's, like, a pretty big issue.
Isn't it funny how, despite how often they say, I love you, deep down, neither Mahmoud nor Nicole feels that the other really wants them. Mahmoud is upset that Nicole didn't keep her promises and that she expects him to just be okay with it. And, most of all, he thinks it's really unfair that Nicole says he hasn't compromised to be with her. From his perspective, he feels like he's done a lot for her, that he's given a lot of flexibility to her when it comes to his religion.
Are you serious? After this all, you think like I do nothing? I changed my mind a lot. I can be with you. But I changed my mind about like when she don't like pray much and don't wear hijab.
The truth is, Mahmoud has a point. Both prayer and the hijab are very big deals for him. And he has given her leeway. For example, just this morning, he was flexible when Nicole chose to make tea instead of pray.
I'm going to pray. You want to come to pray with me?
I want to make some tea first and then pray.
You can have your tea and I'm going to pray and you can do that, okay?
Do what later?
Pray.
Okay.
But flexibility with prayer is one thing. Flexibility with the hijab seems to be altogether different. I wouldn't exactly call his attitude from earlier in the day flexible. He was adamant she would wear it eventually. But it seems like Mahmoud has finally grown a pair and he's now ready to tell Nicole to her face what he confessed to the camera earlier, that he doesn't think he can make her happy.
I know, but never I feel like you feel like I'm the right person you need it. I feel I never can make you happy.
Unfortunately, Mahmoud's confession doesn't have the effect I thought it would. Nicole has always been very clear that she wants to have these difficult conversations. She needs Mahmoud to sit there and talk with her so they can find a compromise, so that they can work through their issues. But when Mahmoud opens up about his feelings, instead of seizing on that opportunity, her response is to immediately threaten to leave again.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything other than that you told me to go, so that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
I'm gonna work this out. Like, I'm either gonna go or I'm gonna stay. But like, I'm not gonna stay under these conditions. I'm not gonna stay with a
You are really...
It kind of feels like Nicole has checked out. She doesn't really want to work things out. And while Mahmoud tells her that he doesn't want her to leave, it seems like he's tired of this relationship too. Whether it's this argument or another, at this point it feels inevitable that sooner or later Nicole will be leaving Egypt.